Okay, so I'm thinking plans for season 3. What do you think? We could go darker. We could go grittier. We could
I
go.
don't know.
Could go more mysterious. We could do like a whole murder mystery thing.
Ooh.
Do you think maybe?
Oh, possibly.
Alternatively, just a thought
Yeah.
for season 3. How about we just have a bit of a cuddle and secret kiss, secret kisses.
Little kissy.
They don't have to know about the kisses.
Oh, that sounds like a good season 3 to me.
You know how people are like, "Ooh, kisses make for bad audio. There's not good audio for people to listen to."
Do they say that? Ooh.
They do, yes.
Okay.
But almost entirely silent. They'll never hear that.
I'll try not to do a little happy squeal. That might give it away.
Or maybe they'll all be listening out for the
if it's just
season 3. Listen out for the secret little. And go kissy, pretty girl, kiss me. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet-Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet-Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
Season 3.
Is that now? Is it? Are we there? Well, it's a show with two queer trans women. That's us. What wifey types. We talk about media we've consumed in the week and such.
We do.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Can you believe we're on our 300th one of these?
Well, time flies when you are making content on a weekly-ish basis.
Tempest sure does fugit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's about 6 years.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Goodness gracious.
indeed. We've not missed many. We've not missed many
Not
weeks.
as many. Occasionally I travel, and
occasionally travel.
that sometimes gets in the way.
Occasionally we're sick, and
Yeah.
sometimes we take a little bit of time over Unicorn Dance Party.
But 6-ish years. That's about 6-ish years.
So what have you played for the last 6 years?
Are you sure you don't just want to talk about, like, this past week?
Sorry, days. I meant
6 days, I see. Well, I could talk about, like, 7 days of stuff I've played.
7 days.
Should we talk about the thing that we finally finished this week?
Finally.
Yeah,
Oh,
finally, the fantasy has been finished.
Finally the fantasy's over.
Yeah, we've finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at, like, 110 plus hours?
Yeah, I was horrified to hear recently that like the average playtime for that is 40 hours to get to the end.
I would think 40 for remake. 40 for Rebirth is fucking surprising to hear. I imagine that's people who have a far greater degree of willingness to just ignore side content than our completionist brains.
Maybe. I think also there is a degree of maybe not doing all of the different side missions, just going,
yeah.
I picked the ones that sparked joy.
We did almost everything in that game.
Yeah.
There's, I think, 2 chocobo races we didn't complete.
Yeah, we were really struggling with those last few.
But that is... We did practically every bit of content in that game that there was to be done. Yeah, how are you feeling about it?
Oh, I think we should do you first, because you're way more positive about it than I am.
Okay, well, we'll start with me. So, I don't blame anyone who finds this game a bit much. This game is a game of excess. It is a game of going way further beyond anything it needed to. And I personally love that. And I've come at this having just, in the past few months, finished playing through Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Twice.
A very... Well, yeah, I was about to get to that. Is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and I know this is a weird place to start Final Fantasy VII Rebirth thoughts, released in January, and that game is like 100 plus hours of sprawling, elaborate side content, and there is a dramatic narrative happening, but also there's a lot of stuff to get lost in around the sides, some of which is way bigger and more in-depth than you would think. And I've come off the back of that, and started replaying it on stream. I'm literally, as we speak, replaying it, doing some grinding between streams to get some high-end weapons I didn't get the first time, then going straight into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have a real endless appetite for, I'm enjoying this thing, give me infinite stuff to do in here so I never have to leave. And I know that's not for everyone. I know that people's enjoyment versus their patience running out will differ there. I fucking loved it in that regard. I think a big part of where we differ a little on this game is the amount where we both lie on the scale of autism wants sameness and ADHD wants difference and newness, and how those two are balanced. Because for me, the balance worked really well here. I very much enjoyed every time there was a new, like, oh, this is a new thing that's going to be a whole little diversion, right the way through to the end. That's not going to be the case for everyone. Talking a bit more big picture, I really like what they did with the character work in this. I think they did a really good job, particularly in taking the characters as they exist in the base Final Fantasy VII, and really fleshing them out and giving them a lot more room to not only explore their personality traits and their relationships more, but to build upon them and to give them good interplay that rounded out some of the more controversial edges of some of their original writing. A really good example of this, I think, is I think Yuffie works really well in this because a lot of her stuff is winding up Straight Man Barrett. And, like, that interplay between the two of them works really nicely. I think that a lot of these kind of things where a character trait isn't necessarily changed, but who it's pointed at and how they respond is changed a little, does a lot to really build these characters. I think they do a very good job of staying faithful to who the party of characters originally felt like, while adding new things to them. And I think that what this, as a middle entry, I think did really well was feel like you were going on a proper road trip with a bunch of friends. Not just like a number of party members who have mechanics. This is your group of friends you're going on an adventure with. And not every minute of that adventure is the go, 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 here's the plot. Sometimes it's silly little stuff you do along the road. It weirdly reminded me of, I wish Final Fantasy XV had felt more like this. Because Final Fantasy XV is, on the surface, meant to be a game about, like, it's boys going on a road trip.
Yeah.
And one thing I always felt like it was lacking was the roadside attraction aspect of a road trip. And that's what this felt like it got right for me, was whether you think those side diversions outstay their welcome or not, they feel like opportunities for the group to bond outside of the immediate, we just have to keep running because the world's at risk. I am gonna say this bit as spoiler light as I can. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the first part, the way it ended, I was expecting a hell of a lot more deviation in part 2 from the typical Final Fantasy VII experience. And I fundamentally, I was surprised at how much of this still felt like Final Fantasy VII as I knew it. Like, obviously that's not to say there aren't some massive swings of some things they change, but they didn't go nearly as 5 minutes in, it's all gonna go off the rails as I kind of thought they would.
Yeah, I honestly thought that the way they ended the first one was going to mean that the second one could be literally anything.
Yeah.
That it had just kicked the door open, and that forget everything you know from here on out, we're making our own thing with these characters in that universe, and if you want to find out what's going to happen, check out the next one. And I was kind of ready for that. And I was genuinely confused as what the angle was by... There's a little bit in the opening that's a bit like, ooh, what's going on here then, eh?
What the heck is that?
Ooh, what's going on here? And then, like, you don't see that for, like, another 10-ish hours.
Yeah.
Weirdly, there's, like, a little nod to it, because there's a news report that happens in the background as you're walking through an area. That is the same news report that happened during that sort of unusual bit at the beginning. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I think we went... maybe halfway through the game before that really got any sort of follow-up to it. And I was like, I'm absolutely fascinated with this whole side story. That is brilliant. Yeah. And quickly, before we move on too much, regarding the characterization, I absolutely agree. I think... I vaguely remember that there were, like, little, like, chats that would happen between members of the party but they would only ever be with party members who were there, so there was a whole thing of use the PHS regularly to swap characters in and out if you want to like see some of that character interaction. And I love the idea that the party is, for the most part, obviously story stuff will happen or plot stuff will happen where people do get separated, but for the most part, technically everyone is there.
Yes.
So they could always have these little chats together. You don't have to worry about whether or not someone's in the party. And yeah, absolutely. Like Yuffie, I think is a perfect example of being able to flourish and being as she was, like a missable character as far as I remember. I think she could go the entire game and miss her.
Yeah, I believe so.
Also, the fact that you don't find her until... I don't even think she appears until, like, either very late Disc 2 or Disc 3, full stop. So there was the whole... It didn't feel like she was necessarily as flushed out, or at least as far as I remember. And I do remember going out of my way, looking up guides, trying to work out how to find her. I'll go to all of these woods and hope that I encounter her, because I think that was the thing. Something about going to the little dome-shaped woods and hoping that she turns up. And... like, the character being, want materia, and that still exists. But there is, like, more stuff. Like, there's a lot of the sadness about fellow members of the Wutai Avalanche and the Wutai Militia.
The overconfidence and the sort of, like, I am the leader of this group that's barely let me join them.
It's got real Usopp vibes, Captain Usopp vibes.
Yes!
And, I'm very here for that, and... like, and sometimes when she has, like, a little wobble and she's like, hey, guys, we're all here together, right?
Yes.
And I think, obviously, some of that was added a little bit to by the whole integrate thing.
Yeah.
Like, here's what Yuffie was doing at the same time.
Agreed. On that note, Ketchi, or Kate Sith, I really like everything they did about that character's characterization.
Yeah.
Very, very... incredibly likably performed. The voice actor is superb.
Yes.
Incredibly hard not to like, to the point that, like, I know the plot of Final Fantasy VII, and yet I was having second thoughts about certain things.
Well, I
because
mean,
you're so good.
Well, not only that, but like we don't know. Like, there has been so much that's been different enough to make you go, oh, well, do we know that is going to happen exactly how it did originally?
Right up until the end, there was a real sense of things could vary, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And on that note, like, I won't get into specifics here, obviously, but I'm really interested in the ending of this. The line that they walk between offering Final Fantasy VII as you know it, and also something different, and those maybe both being things that we will get a taste of. I think that is really interesting without fundamentally derailing the idea of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, and to sort of go to some of my, like, overall thoughts of this. So I think if I'd been playing it solo, I probably would have gone a bit more Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. I would have been encountering the story as I went along.
Yeah.
And going into the world and very much like, hey, this side mission, I fucking, like, there's no way I wouldn't have finished Queen's Blood.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I wouldn't necessarily have gone all the way for some of the other stuff. Like, I think there were side missions like the Cactuar, like one person has to score a certain amount of points against.
We both
Cactuar.
agreed. We were both like, nah, fuck this.
Like, we got through every single one of those missions, but I was really struggling, and I think you ended up doing most of them, and I was just sitting there on, like, various guide pages and go, apparently this is quite good for that type of enemy.
And I apologise if us playing it together negatively impacted your experience, because I know I am much more of a, but we could 100% it though. While we're here, we can do it all though.
I think generally there's a lot of times when I could and would want to do everything, and I very much enjoyed that it was a thing we were doing together. I think, and we have done games together.
Yeah.
Like, we've done loads of games together that we've either 100%ed or at least gone, okay, we've both had enough of X, Y, or Z in a particular game. I think with this, we've talked, I think we talked before about the films that have that, this film ended 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
And this game, it reminded me, the parallel I was remembering a lot on Saturday, I think it was. It kind of reminded me of, and I was guilty of this, the child who struggles with making friends, and then gets friends, and then does not know how to go, okay, it was lovely to hang out today, I will say goodbye.
I get ya.
It was like, I have to keep you interested in so I will throw another thing at you. I have to, please stay with me forever.
I can see that. And I think the comparison you made to, like, films that feel like they end multiple times really, I can see it. I think
not even necessarily getting to an end, but going, that was the perfect opportunity to go, and then we put a bookend there.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that I think we can probably both agree on that is a failing of this game, is this game does not do a good job of giving you a sense of its own scope and scale and your point of progression through it. And there is one point this game does that I think is the biggest culprit of that,
yes.
Which is, for the most part, you go to each of the areas and you can basically 100% them while you're there.
Yes.
And there is a point in this game where out of nowhere it goes, oh hey, all those areas you've already 100%ed, fucking surprise, there's 3 or 4 more quest lines in each of them now.
Yeah.
And I think that moment was unnecessary. I don't think there was necessarily anything wrong with the content that was offered.
No.
But I think if that content, for the most part, had been offered on the first visit, rather, like, it would have made it a lot easier to know what is the scale of this and where is my progression. And it felt like the plot naturally is reaching a point where it feels like I have completed all the places and I've seen all the things and I'm ready to go see the end. And if you've been a completionist up to that point, it's going to be really hard to go, oh, okay, well, it's just 3 or 4 more things each area. I guess we should probably do those before we continue.
Yeah. And some of those were, like, really fucking tiny. It was like, with this, I think you dashed out, like, three of the main areas. Like, the last couple of things in them in about half an hour.
Yeah.
And that was fine. But there was one mission that was going out looking for monsters. And that particular mission involved, go to this place, talk to this person, go out into this particular area, climb a tower, which is like like a fairly long climb. It's like 15, 20 seconds to climb. And then look out over the area, spot a thing, go to that place, and then come back to that tower, climb the tower, and then kept, like, the one saving grace was it put a like fast travel point at the bottom of the tower. But, like, it could have put it at the top of the tower.
Yeah.
And it just felt like it was deliberately, in that case at least, deliberately wasting time.
Yeah. One thing I think that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth could serve to learn from the Yakuza series, from Like a Dragon, is front-ending your side quest content in a big RPG like this, but particularly front-loading your big, lengthy side quest content. Looking at Infinite Wealth, the most recent Like a Dragon, that has 2 pretty big side quests I would put on par with something like the Queen's Blood side quest. Yeah. It has the Pokemon parody Sujimon.
Go check out the Suji rap.
Go check out the Sujimon rap. And it has Dondoko Island, which is the Animal Crossing minigame. And both of those, I would say, are maybe within the first 20 to 25 hours. They are early enough that you can, like, the further you get into that game, by the time you're hitting, like, hour 50, 60, 70, the only real side quest content you are getting offered is very narrative-focused side content, like, hey, go explore, like, character relationships for this character that are optional, but, like, they feel like they're moving the plot. Or, here are some combat dungeons if you're just trying to get your levels up.
Yeah.
And I think that Rebirth could have benefited from, like, understanding, don't start throwing new, lengthy, repetitive quests once you've crossed that threshold of the player feels like they are on the downward slope toward the ending.
Yes. And also, like, narratively and pacing-wise, it had put you on a point of going, and now go to do the thing, and you're going to get to do the thing that we sort of teased earlier and then pulled the rug out from you and didn't do. And also, like, you've just done, like, a big... quite a big thing. Not going to say what.
Yeah.
Not going to get too into that. And sort of now is the perfect time to go, oh shit, and get on with that.
Yeah.
It felt like it kicked itself in its own pacing. And I think another thing is it would have made more sense to go, at least as far as things like Costa del Sol, because like one of the things was Costa del Sol, and I think it took you back to like the pirate mission, the shooting gallery.
Oh, yes,
was one of them. And it's like, I think what it could have done is what it did end up doing in a couple of other places, which is go, hey, you know all the really tiny side missions, like the shooting gallery, which takes like a minute or minute and a half, something like that. And there's a couple of very similar ones, and I think they are all largely in Costa del Sol. I think it could have just done what it did with I can't remember what it was. It just went, there is an expert mode open for all of the mini games.
Yes.
And not made that we've now chipped away at the percentage completion for an area. Because I think for people who were like, I love that particular mini game, I want to go back and do that. And I want to, see what the ultimate reward for that is. And I think that would have been perfect.
I agree, and I think the Chocobo Racing is a really good example of that, where, like, those last couple of missions that I just cannot fucking complete, if those had been, like, part of expert mode, and, like, the story had its conclusion before those, so I could have, like, had a bit of finality and walked away as someone that was like, I'm coming up against a skill barrier and I just can't get further in it.
Yeah.
And had an earlier exit ramp from some of those, so that, like, it's like, you have completed it. If you come back and do more of it, that's, like, explicitly because you want to, not because you're not 100%ing this anymore.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like, I think, because I like huge games. I loved Tears of the Kingdom. I love Breath of the Wild. I haven't 100%ed either of them. But that doesn't mean to say that I haven't gone, in both cases, gone back and gone, you know what, I feel like a little bit of that game. I really enjoyed that game. I'm going to chip away at some of the side missions.
Part of me wishes that the areas in this game didn't have that dot system of the dots you fill in as you're, like, completing stuff in an area to 100% of an area. I find it easier to just walk away from some of the content and to just get on with the game. If it's not, every time I complete a thing, it's flashing a big thing up in me that's essentially a percentage bar.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think so many of those things do add to the game in a really simple and not obtrusive way. Like the springs.
Oh, yes.
Because part of that will give you, hey, we've got some more info about other things in the area that you could go check out. I think the ones you go and do to get extra summon materia, I think those do really nicely. But then you've got other things that, like, just seem to be, for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of throwing one extra thing. Like, the thing with the robots that you get really late game in Cosmo Canyon.
Yeah.
Great minigame. But I didn't want to be forced to make that a whole thing. And another part of that whole, because I think that's the same mission of in every area find 4 things, and every time they changed the mini game, and every time I felt like if it had been 3, maybe it wouldn't have overstayed its welcome so much. If it had been 3 and then gone, hey, we've thrown in expert mode at the end and put a bit more, but the fact that it was like, oh, we've got to do whatever this is at least 4 times.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, like that programmable, I think someone described it as 3-lane Dota type thing. it's a fascinating game. I really love the idea of it. I didn't want to feel like I was being forced to do it for progression's sake.
Part of the game has a formula, and it feels beholden to itself that every area has to reiterate the formula, and that's not always to its benefit. No. But like these complaints aside, and these are, you know, we both differ on how much or not they annoyed us, but I think we can both agree fundamentally those are poor design decisions they made.
Yeah.
But I also walked away from this way more positive about where the narrative in this remake trilogy was going than I had. Like, finishing Remake Part 1, I initially was, like, really uncertain about what Part 2 was going to be and whether it was going to be something I would find satisfying.
Yeah.
And Rebirth really has reassured me, even if they make changes, I'm pretty willing to trust them on that journey. That the changes they are making, they are thinking through in a way that I am happy to follow them on that road.
Yeah. I think at the end of the first one, I was a bit like, I mean, I haven't played enough Kingdom Hearts. I have never finished a Kingdom Hearts, but it felt like, from what I understand of Kingdom Hearts, that felt like they were trying to do very Kingdom Heartsy things.
It was a bit Kingdom Hearts.
And I think what softened that and let me go into the second one as positive as I did was Integrate being like a really fun thing that sort of just smushed my memory of how the first one ended. Yeah. But also that there was that period of, what, a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah.
Before the next one came out, and then going, oh yeah, we'll just watch a recap at the beginning, and it's, what, like a 6-7 minute video that explained things that I didn't either didn't remember or didn't get from the original playthrough.
It definitely explained things a bit more clearly than some of the vague thematic weirdness of the original.
Yeah. And I think then to go into the second one and go, well, I assume that it's going to be all different. And for the most part going, oh, this is very much following, this is disc 2. We're on disc 2. We're doing the disc 2 beats. And, like, really loving the way that the chocobos were different by region, and the way that worked, and sort of slowly encountering things with Sid.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we know Sid's coming eventually, and that, like, from the whole game, because of obviously where it starts, me going, we're gonna get Vincent? Are we gonna get Vincent in this game?
I fucking love what Vincent's role in this game was. It was so stupid. I loved it.
Absolutely. And I was constantly like, he's going to be the party, right? Is now in the party? Now he's in the party? No, it's just fascinated by the whole thing there, and like wandering around the mansion, going check everywhere. Is there something to do with the piano? We need to find the secret way to get to do the thing, and me obviously like pulling in information from the original there, but like just being fascinated by the whole world and wanting to like dig around and explore all of that stuff, and loving like the little missions to go and get the chocobos again, and basically another mini game that rotated every time, but generally speaking so very short. Like there's one in just before you get to in the Corral region, just before you get to Gold Saucer, where you're pushing minecarts around a track and like hiding behind them as they're moving, so that this. And I hate stealthing games because I'm so bad at it.
But this was forgiving stealth.
It was forgiving, and it was also quite sweet, and it wasn't super long.
Yes, and it was very forgiving with the checkpointing.
Yeah, and like so many games in this is so many of the mini games. Like the Moogle one, I think, is the one we encountered it most with. It's like, hey, you've done this a couple of times and you've failed. Do you want us to lower the difficulty? And that I really appreciated.
Agreed. I wish that was offered for a few more of them. Or at least
more quickly, because I think it was available for just about everything.
Yeah, like I wanted to see the end of the Chocobo racing. I know I keep coming back to this example. That never offered a difficulty option, but like I appreciated that like the Moogle thing did that, for example.
Not that I don't think we ever actually used it. It was like, no, I can get it. That was just them being tricky little bastards and me accidentally walking into a whirlwind or something. Yes. But like Like, even that mission that, like, kept happening, like, although I would be like, you little bastards, I wasn't frustrated with that as a concept. And, like, as I say, like, it's one of the mini-games in this that, despite being a bit like, oh, you little buggers, I actually really enjoyed. Again, Queen's Blood really enjoyed. Fort Condor was fascinating.
Queen's Blood in particular, I really hope we get a standalone mobile version with like I would play so much Queen's Blood on my phone. Like make a Hearthstone or Gwent of Queen's Blood.
As long as they don't put like horrible microtransactions in it.
Yeah, that's obviously the fear, but fundamentally I genuinely love playing Queen's Blood.
As somebody who has enjoyed playing deck builders for years but been utterly shite at making decks, this is the first game where I felt somewhat competent.
You built our best 2 decks, the 2 decks that carried us through, like, I would say, the last half of Queen's Blood.
And then you sent the list to somebody who was like, please help me, and they apparently had a good time with it.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
helped someone get their platinum in Rebirth.
Yay, I'm so glad.
Via your good Queen's Blood list.
Yeah, so they, managed to feel quite accomplished about that. And I think if it had been a little bit more streamlined, more of it had been voluntary, and they hadn't been so hot on having an everything, like, you haven't 100% in this area yet, I think I would have enjoyed it more. Or even, like, feeling like, because stuff kept feeding into other things.
Yeah.
Stuff kept feeding back into to some other aspect of another minigame, and then going, well, I can't miss anything now, because it might reveal really important backstory or plot.
Like, look, I'm not saying, like, instantly, but when this trilogy is done, and then a few years have passed, and the desire to replay the trilogy happens at some point one day down the line, I think I will enjoy Rebirth more a second time, on a second playthrough than the first, because I will have a better sense of what I actually need to do in an area and what I can skip.
Yeah.
What is important, what is going to lead to content I want to do, and what is content I go, I saw that once, I don't need to play it on this playthrough.
Yeah,
I think that will benefit it.
Yeah, but then the last hour, 2 hours happened, and I was like, this game's beautiful, and I love it, and I want to know what happens next.
That's the thing. For any moments where, like, I have quibbles about design choices, I walked away from this going, we went on a fucking journey together.
We did.
And we sure are experiencing these moments together.
We are.
And I am so glad we got to play it together.
Yeah.
In spite of any quibbles we have.
Yes.
It's a fascinating mess of a game.
It is, and I think the main story that they are trying to tell is fascinating and beautiful and confusing, and respectful of the original.
Yeah.
While also going, we are kind of our own thing, but don't worry, we got you. And obviously the next one will tell very much whether or not they actually stick the landing, but like the final scene of the game is beautiful.
Agreed.
Like, if nothing else, the set dressing for that area, that whole the color choices, the scripting, no spoilers.
No, yeah.
The whole thing, absolutely beautiful.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, it's... When this trilogy was first being talked about, they talked about, like, having a more linear start, a big open middle, and more linear end. And I think that will be to its benefit if that is still the plan. In terms of, like, those changes, I think the biggest thing I can say for Rebirth, for Part 2, is I went from being fearful of what they would change to excited to see what was going to change. And, like, anticipating seeing those changes.
Yeah.
And that move from, like, a little bit trepidatious to I'm actively really excited about what they're doing, and there's still a bit of hope that they stick the landing, but I feel so much more optimistic about the changes than I did before.
Yes.
Everything in this said, we respect what was, even if we want to be something new.
Yes.
And I am excited.
I'm very excited. I'm very curious. I don't know what happened next, but yes, I think they have done a good job, and story-wise, I am fascinated about what is happening on so many levels and what is going to happen, and I remember either as we were finishing or once while the 30 minutes of credits were rolling, we were looking at the map from the original Final Fantasy VII, and we're like, what's left? what is left, map-wise at least, that hasn't been explored? And there's not a lot, so I don't know. I don't know what to do, but I'm curious, and I'm looking forward to seeing what do. And yeah.
Although that's our lengthy ass Final Fantasy discussion for this week. How long we in on that?
Like 40 minutes in.
Yeah, that seems about right. What about you? You played anything else this week?
Yes, I've been playing the Cube Collection.
What is that? Tell us of this.
It's the Rusty Lake games. You know Rusty Lake?
I'm aware of Rusty Lake.
We played the Past Within, I think it was. This is the 2-player.
We were seeing different things and had to communicate one. Yes.
And although the games aren't themselves linked, you need sort of hints from one person going back to the other.
Yeah.
Solving various, basically a weird puzzle cube and a bunch of mysteries around that. And you know me, I love a puzzle cube, so this was like a perfect thing for me and eventually for us to do together. But it just occurred to me the other day, I think I was watching, I knew you said co-optional. I meant the Geekenders podcast, and I think they were talking about Rusty Lake games there. I was like, you know what? I really had a good time with the Past Within, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to go and have another look. And the Cube Collection is 9 games originally of the Flash era, and were sort of rescued into hey, it runs here. You can play them all. And so I played through the first 6, which are the 6 games at the start of this series, and then you have to start flipping into separate games to get as close to the linear version of this story as it gets.
Okay.
Because I know, like, the first one has a bunch of secrets that can't be opened until you've completed the second one. The 6th one has there's a code you can enter on a clock from the first or second one that will do something that will get you an extra achievement at least. And it might just be an achievement, but it's just like, there's little things you can find. Sneaky, see what you can do.
Okay.
And it's weird and surreal and a little bit Twin Peaksy. Like, there's references to, like the backwards talking. Like, whenever you pick up a phone, there's usually someone talking, doing the reverse backwards talk at you.
Yeah.
There was a thing in the 6th one, which I played yesterday, where you were experiencing a phone call from the other side.
Oh.
Or from a previous game, and it's like, what? Well, now it makes no sense, and if I hadn't played the previous one, that wouldn't have made any sense at all. But now I, do get it, but I don't know why. But, yeah, it's, for the most part, it's fascinating puzzles. It's not super Moon Logic-y, but even where it is, it does at least have a built-in hint system that you can turn on, and in an area you can click on an eye, and it'll show you sort of here is the thing, and you use it in this area. So you can sort of work out, yes, I haven't found the duck yet, but I know that the duck goes there once I find it.
Yeah, you a proximity of the lock and the key.
Yes.
Even if you need to find the lock, you need to find the key and work out how to use it on the lock.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And sometimes sometimes that's super helpful. There's a few times where I've been I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here. I've clicked on the eye icon, and clearly all of the things that are supposed to be done in this area I've either done, or have no fucking clue what it is that I'm supposed to have already. Which means I just need to go and explore other places.
Yeah.
For the most part, that's been fine, but there have been a couple of examples of just getting completely stuck and going, what do you want from me, game? What did I miss? And the main culprit for that is, very often in these games you can look up, and for the most part, up is just a quick way across to the other side of the room, because they're mostly all four-sided rooms. And it's just just go up twice rather than going around.
Okay.
But it doesn't help that all of the rooms, when you look up, you're not seeing the whole of the ceiling.
Oh.
So, in 2 of the games so far, I have gone, I absolutely don't know what to do, I'm so fucking stuck. And the answer has been, I apparently didn't look up from all 4 sides and notice a thing. In the case of yesterday's one, it was like, I didn't look up from a certain angle, therefore I didn't see a spider web which I should have set on fire in order to get a key.
Hey, game developers, getting players to look up at all is really difficult. Don't have puzzles reliant on you looked up in the right room, but like not at the right bit of the right room. If you're gonna have things up on the ceiling, make them un-fucking missable.
Right? It wouldn't be that hard to go. The ceiling is in fact just one entire square that you can look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been my only real frustration with these, and it's been the same thing that's got me twice. And I think, yeah, it is that whole gamers aren't necessarily taught to look up in games.
The ceiling is very rarely a place of interactables. Game design has taught us over the years, like, don't look up unless you're given a reason to.
Like, weirdly, even in the games where it looked like something was going to happen, nothing happened. So to do that and also go, yeah, but you didn't look up in this corner of the room, has been a little bit frustrating. But for the most part, I am fascinated by how weird it is, curious about what the story is trying to actually say or tell. Like, I can't always tell if the person that I am seeing is the me that is implied, or a manifestation of some sort.
The problem of non-linearity, it could be you of another game, it could be all sorts of things.
It could be a dark version of me. Like, it could be, like, Evil Coop from the Black Lodge. I don't know. It's fascinating and weird, and I'm enjoying playing more of it. I have a lot of questions, but I'm gonna leave that until I've finished playing through more of the games. But yeah, enjoying it so far, and good for them managing to rescue games from the Flash era, because there were so many cool experiences that I have no doubt have just been fucking lost forever.
Oh god, the amount of, like, scrambled preservation work that had to happen around Flash content, because, yeah, that was a whole era of the internet that just one company not really supporting a plugin anymore destroyed a whole era of creativity.
Yeah. Like, I remember being poor as fuck, just about having an 8-year-old PC, or at least 8-year-old hardware, even if I hadn't had that PC necessarily for the full 8 years, and going, I'm going on Congregate or Newgrounds.
Oh god, yeah.
And I'm gonna play, like, whatever random game I can find, and just going, wait, you know what, I can play things that haven't cost me any money, I can keep myself busy for a really long time, even though I can't afford just about anything else. Yeah. I have at least some entertainment, there is something I can do for free.
Newgrounds was a whole era of my access to video games was Newgrounds.
Right, it's good stuff. It was good stuff, and it's kind of sad that we will not necessarily see those games around anymore. Like the Flash Player.
Yeah.
The downloadable separate thing. Like, I remember playing random fucking Flash game, like Flash point and click games. I loved still love point and click games. To just go, oh yeah, someone's put like a 5-part game about a Australian guy in the most ridiculous experiences he's ever had. Yeah, right down to awful shit like the collect everything from Joe Cartoon. That was a time, wasn't it?
That sure was a time.
Yeah. What about you? Have you played anything else?
I played through a game this week that I will probably dip back in and out of at some point for completionism's sake, but I played through Pepper Grinder, which is a sort of side-scroller, pixel art. It's sort of in the vein of like a Celeste or something, where it's like challenging, but there's very, very frequent checkpointing and some assist tools like the ability to slow down the game speed, stuff like that. Very much in that Celeste sort of vein. The main gimmick is you have a drill, and you can drill through certain materials, and when you're, like, drilling around from this side-on perspective, if you're about to reach the surface of the material you're drilling in, you can do a dash and sort of, like, dash out of the material, and you're
like dolphins.
Yeah.
Leaping above the waves.
And you can't stop moving entirely while you're inside of the dirt or whatever material you're drilling through. So once you're in, you can like do some loops to avoid exiting, but you've got to like keep moving, here we go. And it is about platforming and exploring and fighting enemies often that require you to drill into them from specific angles, and there are boss fights to do and little hidden coins that you can collect collectibles with, and I think this game has an element of it that is going to be a strength or a weakness depending on your tastes. It is not a particularly long game. I walked away from it hungry for more. And there are worse problems to have with the game. I didn't feel shortchanged by it. Like, my personal take is that I played my maybe, like, probably 4 or 5 hours, maybe. And, like, didn't 100% it, didn't find every hidden coin, but I did see the end and saw the credits. And I was like, I'd have loved more of this. I'd have loved to see more done with it, but I also really appreciate not dragging an idea out beyond, you know, what you have interesting ideas to do with it.
Just because.
And letting it just be, I played it and I completed it, and it was a good time, and it didn't outstay its welcome.
Does it feel complete?
It feels like I was a little surprised. I'd heard it was... And maybe I was saved a little bit by hearing before I finished that it was a little... I'd heard someone say they were surprised that it ended when it did. And knowing that might be the case, I think softened some of that for me.
Yeah.
If I'd not known to expect it to be short, I'd have probably felt a bit more off guard and a little more like, oh, is that it? But knowing that it's a short experience, I feel like it was really interesting. It had... Like, I think its biggest missed opportunity is that the drill is not the only mechanic, and they introduce a couple of other things as you go. Like, I'll say one thing. There is you get to a point where there are hooks available in levels, and you can sometimes sort of basically do a grapple onto them. So if you're drilling out of a thing, grapple, maybe you'll sort of swing at the full length of your grapple, do a sort of semicircular arc, and continue drilling. Like, that's a neat mechanic. And the fact that there was more mechanics than just the drill made me go, I want to see other ideas intersect with the drill. There was potential for other mechanics plus drill to be a thing. And, like, there's a bit of me that's like, it's a shame that I did not get to see more of it, but nothing I played was bad. I had a great time playing it, and I will dip back into it looking for the coins that I missed along the way. It's an enjoyable time, just go in knowing it's a smaller experience.
How much is it?
It's $13.49 on Switch.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's one of those. If you're like me and you appreciate I could play this in an afternoon and be done and have a good time, it's a good game.
I have very little time, so
yeah,
you know,
it's nice to be able to finish a thing.
Yeah.
Nice to be able to have a complete experience in between stuff I've got to do for work.
And who knows, they might do... Is it possible for a sequel? Sensibly, narrative-wise?
There's nothing to say they couldn't do a sequel, and I would welcome more of this.
More of this.
So, yeah, what about you? You played anything else this week?
Not so much played. The only other thing I've been doing, I've been painting minis a lot.
You have?
I've been working through painting the Hogs of War miniatures game minis. And I have done all but one faction's infantry, and I've done one faction's land vehicles, for the most part. I'm going to put some mud on some of the tanks, but apart from that, yeah, I've been enjoying a bit of, like, solid painting, because I had some time off recently, so apart from doing a day stream to play through Melody of Moomin Valley, I've been doing a lot of painting, which has been nice to just be like, I have a thing, I'm focusing.
Yeah. You were learning the airbrush?
Yeah, that airbrush, not very good. But doing best, and I'm learning a thing, and I'm learning about how to do an airbrush. But it's been nice to sort of come at model painting from an angle of going, there's not too much to do.
Yes.
Whereas the difficulty has been with making music is actually it's not just one thing. It's all of the things. It's sound design and music making and mixing and making sure it works properly on various different speakers and
Yeah.
headphones and stuff, and making sure that there's not issues with phase or whatever else, and just learning so much about sound as a whole and music as a whole, and how to make good, and then music theory and sound design, and how to use a synth, and how to use a DAW, and how to use so many other things. Which can be a little bit overwhelming. A lot overwhelming.
The bits...
Not that I don't love making music.
It's the bits that don't feel like you're making progress on the creative bits.
Yes.
The bits that aren't in the moment dopamine producing because you are progressing the creative project.
Or rather that the dopamine runs dry more quickly because I've spent all day doing huge amounts of things on a project and then going, I have nothing to show for it at the end of it because I might have learnt a bunch of new skills, but the what I've actually created is maybe just like one new sound or a 16-bar loop.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily feel particularly satisfactory. But yeah, not that I don't still absolutely love it. It's nice to have something that's been like, okay, there is quite a lot of depth to it, but I'm able to create something that is I would be very happy to put out on a table in front of friends and go, I painted these and we're going to play a game with it now.
Yeah.
And also make board game look nice, because flat grey minis or flat single colour minis are not necessarily the best to look at on a game table. Not that you can't perfectly functioning get away with it for the most part, because that is a really good game, and I think that in itself is why I've gone, but what if I made it nice to look at as well?
Yeah.
But so I'm looking forward to finishing the last few bits on this, and then actually getting a game in, because it'd be nice to see them all arrayed as they are. Already it's been nice to sort of go, I had the painted ones going back in the box, and the next set that I'm bringing out is coming out of the box, and it's been nice to sort of see that transition from all the flats to all the nice colours. Yeah, it's been a fun project, but I will share pictures when the whole thing's done.
That's fair, I think.
What about you? Have you done anything else? Played anything else?
Not anything else I can talk about at the moment.
Secrets.
Oh, secrets. I often have some of them.
Yeah, you do.
Well then.
Time for this. Please beware. New rules have come into place in the UK. If you make an April Fool post, joke, or video that doesn't end with a clear disclaimer that it is a lie, you are liable for a fine, and, depending on the severity, a slap in the face for every autistic person you gave hope to / annoyed the piss out of. Beware of April Remfooval.
Right. We've got to crack another one of these big giant monster movies out by
Sure do.
God, we got to get it done by the end of the day. So, I vote we get out the dartboards, because the more of these big things we put in there, the more people will come to see it probably. So,
sure.
There's the board of monsters and there's the board of modifiers.
Yes.
Give it a throw. See what we get.
Okay, I have Godzilla.
Okay, I've got Kong,
Mothra.
Mechagodzilla,
Cyber Kong.
Ghost Godzilla.
King Kong Jr. That's the guy with a tie, right?
Probably. Turbo Godzilla. Don't think we've done that one yet.
Nitro Mothra Ultra Mecha Beast Godform?
Ultima Kong.
Make this the last one. Ghidorah?
Yeah, throw it in. How do we make this a plot? I don't know. It's a Tournament of Champions, Space Godzilla, threatened to destroy the Earth unless all of these team up to fight him on the moon.
Nature spirits fighting against space.
Yeah, there's
Doom.
no nature in space, therefore it's nature versus not nature.
Nurture?
Maybe?
Space nurture.
Put a nuke on the moon, that's a Godzilla thing. I think that's a metaphor.
Well, I think we have the box office hit of the summer.
Exactly, as long as they got room to print all of those names on the ticket at the cinema.
We'll just do like ellipses.
Okay, yeah.
And it doesn't matter about the plot, because there's so many characters in this, we won't have time to focus on any of them long enough.
Perfect, just how I like it.
Oh no, this scene's running slightly slow! Huge explosion in the background! Move to the next scene.
Ah, Ghost Godzilla probably did it.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
I've put a couple more films in my eyes, as I have been doing on a semi-regular basis.
Semi.
Thanks to you putting it so I can see all the films at the cinema.
All the films.
What did I see this week? Okay, I saw 2 new films this week. Let's start with Mother's Instinct. This is a 90-minute tense thriller set in like a American suburb in the 1970s, and it is fundamentally a story about 2 mothers and trying to work out whether one of them is a violent sociopath or whether one of them is deeply, deeply paranoid. The premise is basically there are 2 parents. They're neighbors to each other. They're both, both mothers looking after their children, and through an unfortunate accident, one of their children dies and the other is still alive. And it becomes a story of the woman whose child is still alive basically going, I'm really, really, really paranoid that my neighbor is trying to steal my child from me because she doesn't have her child anymore. Versus, is that a real threat, or is this an imagined threat because you feel guilty because you weren't able to save her kid? And I think the film does a fantastic job of making it very unclear through most of the film which way that's gonna go. I think that, it sways a little one way or the other throughout the film. There will be evidence that will sort of suggest one side might be the case or the other might be the case, but it was never clear which way it was going to go right through to the end, and that is a hard balancing act to do. One of the 2 mothers is played by Anne Hathaway, who does a fantastic job in it. Absolutely great in it. It was a very good tense thriller that was largely played by just 2 women doing very good, nuanced, unclear character portrayals. So that was an interesting one. The other one I watched was, I don't know whether I'm supposed to say the X in this, Godzilla X Kong.
Is this the Hunter x Hunter issue again?
So I know in Japan you don't say the X, like it's Hunter x Hunter or Spy Family, not Spy X Family, but I don't know if that's the case for this, but...
So this is Godzilla King Kong or Kong King? Kong King?
Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, I think it's called. Okay. So my understanding is this is in like a big giant monster cinematic universe, and there are other films that came before this. It does a good job of not making other films before this at all necessary.
Excellent.
I think the way I described this to you when I came home from it was, it feels like a theme park ride. And specifically, if you go to a really big, elaborate theme park, let's say you go to a Disney World, where before you even get on a ride, the queue to get onto the ride is themed, and you are going through all of the scene setting to bring you into the world to tell you a story that is honestly kind of shallow, but the production value is high enough that you feel like you're being taken somewhere.
Yeah, the way you talked about it when you got home made me think of the Universal Studios tour ride at Universal Studios Florida, where we're all just getting on the little golf cart thingy and we're gonna drive around, but we're here in this place where they're gonna do a giant oil tanker explosion and all sorts of other things, but shh, don't tell the other crowd as we're driving in the opposite direction.
Yeah, it's got the vibe of specifically I kept thinking of Rise of the Resistance, the Star Wars ride at Disney, where you end up with there's a little waiting room where you're all lined up and you're clearly just waiting to get onto the ride, but there's actors acting out, and you're sort of in a scene that it looks like you're in a spaceship from Star Wars, and all of that sort of pageantry and set dressing to get you to believe in the kind of shallow but very visually impressive nonsense journey you're about to be taken on. The whole film has that vibe of, we are putting a hell of a lot of work into making distracting... There's no real substance, but forget about that for a minute. This is popcorn fluff and you're going to have a great time. And, I very much came away from this film being like, Godzilla is one of the few properties that exists where, like, there are very few properties where I could imagine 3 months or so apart seeing Godzilla -1, a, like, 2+ hour, quite serious look at, like, post-war PTSD and survivor's guilt, and how those specifically manifest in sort of post-World War Japan, and the sort of cultural stuff that was going on around obligation to kamikaze within the Air Force, can exist alongside big dinosaur suck up lots of energy to do big laser, and that both of those feel like they can coexist, and that's nice. This, I don't want to go into specifics. This film is called Godzilla X Kong. There should be, like, 7 other things in that title. I'll mention the ones that are in the trailer. It should be Godzilla X Kong, Ultra Godzilla versus Kong with a robot hand versus Big Evil Kong holding a spinal cord whip, plus Diddy Kong, plus, like, 3 or 4 other notable big monster things that you might know about. There's a lot of things this film wants to be at once, and it sure is going to go on a journey to try and be all those things. It's weird that Godzilla gets top billing on this. This is much more of a Kong movie.
I got that from the trailer, to be honest.
Godzilla... I saw someone say that Godzilla is on screen, like, has 8 minutes of screen time, and honestly, that doesn't surprise me. It is much more a Kong... It is a film fundamentally about, like, Kong being the last of his kind and seeking more of his kind, and then realizing, oh, maybe my kind ain't so great. What can I do to save the world from, thinking even worse of my kind than they already do?
As the protector of nature.
As the protector of nature, yes. It was a very enjoyable, mindless popcorn flick. It was a very fun, nothing here matters of a time.
I feel like that's generally the case with the big, like, we're gonna throw 2 known properties together.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's generally the case. Freddy vs. Jason, Ring vs. Grudge, all of those excellent films, and, like, Godzilla at least has a history of this, like Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, Mothra, oh god, what's it like? Kingra? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole kaiju thing, it's a little bit ridiculous. Maybe there is some more serious stuff going on in the background about environmentalism or whatever else, but, like, ultimately it's just like, have a good time, it's gonna be a bit wild.
Kong has a plot, every other character is there to do big nonsense fight scene.
Yeah.
And I had a fun time.
Excellent.
What about you? What have you been watching this week?
We watched a thing together.
Yeah, what did we watch?
We watched, like, most, I think, of season 13 of Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. So this is the season that comes, I think you were saying, directly after the film?
Yeah, directly after the Bob's Burgers movie. Not that, chronology really makes a big difference in this?
No, because I feel like I've seen a bunch of stuff from season 1 and 2, maybe 3. I don't remember when exactly I sort of fell off it and forgot to go back, but I know that I feel like I watched a good few seasons before that happened. Life got in the way in some way.
Yeah, I getcha.
But weirdly, I did recognise one of the episodes from this. I was like, I've definitely seen this. I don't know when or why or what brought it on, but apparently I've seen the one with the poem.
Yes, you've seen the Christmas episode of season 13, apparently.
Which is weird for me, because I am...
That would have been the episode I least expected.
Not a festive watch for me.
No.
But yeah, like, I still, like, recognised the characters that I knew of. I know all of these people, I'm pretty sure. I couldn't necessarily name them all, but, like, yeah, I get the concept, and it's... I think it does, like, nice family quite well.
Yeah.
Like, they're a little bit dysfunctional, but they're not like The Simpsons dysfunctional. No one's getting strangled.
The thing about them as a dysfunctional family is that fundamentally you never there is never any reason to believe that any of the family act maliciously to any of the others. They might act thoughtlessly, or they might act in ways that are unawarely detrimental, or that are in conflict with each other. But there is never malice behind it, and they all fundamentally want to be a cohesive family.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the character, you might get a little bit of, I am being a little bit selfish in this way or another, and that might cause problems for other people. But ultimately, it does feel like they care for each other and are on the same page.
Yeah, they're a family of autistic ADHD people just trying their little best.
Doing their little best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet show, and I am enjoying watching more of it. Because I think we realised that that was it. On some Sunday, I think one of my friends mentioned that something had happened midway through the season that was like, if this is you, and it was me, you might find this a bit traumatic. I was like, I don't know where we are.
Yes, there was a season 14 episode that has come out that's apparently does a good job of handling a heavy topic.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh yeah, when did I last watch Bob's Burgers? I've missed a whole season. Yes. There we go.
We were having a relax from Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII is over. Let us chill and decompress and have a little bit of, like, flat time. And, we just popped on some Bob's Burgers, and it was just a nice chill afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's everything I've watched.
The only other thing I've been watching, and this is just because I've been looking for stuff to watch while have on in the background while working. I've been re-watching the volleyball anime Haikyuu, but specifically, I've been watching a reaction series to it from an Olympic volleyball player, which is
the one with the orange vests, right?
Yes. So
I've seen those at Comic Cons.
Yeah, Haikyuu. It is high school volleyball. The anime. The gist of it is that the two main characters are there's a role in the volleyball team called the setter, who, like, you know, it's their job to, like, pass the ball to the person who's going to do the scoring.
Right.
And, like, the character that does that, his last team kind of kicked him out the team because he was very self-centered. He was like, rather than, like, passing to, you know, working within the skill of the people he was passing to, he would pass, he would pass and go, you need to be better to reach my pass, not, this is where your skill level's at, I will pass to your skill level.
Uh-huh.
And, like, you know, it's a big problem for him, he has to sort of overcome. And our other main character is completely unskilled, but, like, naturally very, very talented, kid who, he went to a school where there was no volleyball club, he was, like, having to self-teach himself, but he's this very short character, which is not, like, traditionally the point scorers in volleyball, but he wants to jump really high and be the point scorer, despite his not being very tall,
Determined.
But he's very fucking fast. And it's these two finding that, like, separate from each other, like, they have, like, flaws that neither of them is going to be able to win at volleyball, but together...
They are greater than those.
Yeah, it's the very skilled person who finally finds someone who can keep up with him, and the person who is, like, very raw talented, but needs someone to, like, he's, like, just running around making leaps and trying to hit, and he needs someone that can, like, get the ball where his hand happens to be, because he's not, you know, his skill's not there. And together, they're this little double act, and they can support each other's weaknesses while they learn to be better at the things they're bad at, as part of this little group of people who will just want to play the sport.
Aww.
And it's very sweet.
Yeah.
I enjoy it very much. It's one of my favourite sports anime. It's very similar in, like, the appeal to it of something like Yuri on Ice, but it's a bit... I would say, like, Yuri on Ice is a very good entry point to, like, if you've never done a sports anime, here's a good place to start. It's like 12 episodes and you're done. Haikyuu is the... Cool, we're gonna step up a little bit. We've got, like, 24-episode seasons, and by the end of the season, you might have, like, 6 episodes in a row that are a single volleyball match stretched across 6 episodes.
But with less screaming than a Naruto.
Yeah, less screaming than a Dragon Ball Z or whatever.
Sorry, yeah.
But you're still gonna have, like, the, I've leaped up in the air and I'm going to make the hit, and we're gonna spend a solid 2 minutes in, like, frozen time, you know. But... It's still, I would say, one of the more approachable sports animes. I love it very much. It very much focuses on, like, the human connection stuff going on.
It does the drag a thing out over multiple episodes, but not in a filler kind of way. We've got a lot of internal struggles to deal with.
Yeah, the reason I think it's that one little step up above something like Yuri on Ice is it doesn't shy away from the reality of, cool, once we get to the point where the team's starting to go to tournaments, it's not that we're stretching it out. They're gonna play there are 3 sets, and it's scoring up to 25 points per set, so, like, we're not gonna show the whole thing, but there is a, like, 3-part narrative structure of, like, the back and forth of, who won game 1, who won game 2, what are we doing between games, into game 3... Like, it fully explores, like, a big competitive volleyball match.
I imagine it has to do, animation motion very well.
Oh, gorgeously. They do... One thing I think they do really, really well is the first time you see someone do a thing that has not come up before in the sport, you will usually see a very dramatically animated... first moment it happens, where, like, the art style will completely change for, like, just, like, 3 seconds. Like, the first time that, for example, you see someone do, like, a very particular kind of fast serve that's very hard to respond to, it might be like, they're just on a white backdrop, and they're moving so fast that, like, the lines are stretching behind them as they move.
Okay.
And it'll be for, like, 1 hit, and, like, bam! And it's like, cool. And that 3 seconds of ridiculous animation was to be like, that was startling, and to not overuse it. They make, this is new, this is unusual, very instantly notable. But it's been very interesting watching, like, serious competitive volleyball players who have been very, very complimentary of the show. It's the most... directly complimentary I've seen real sports people be of a sports anime, in terms of how they teach not only, like, how they teach the sport, how they talk about the sport, how they represent the sport, little things like the sound design of, like, specific, like, that sound of the hand hitting the ball in this specific way is, like, really evocative. A lot of... It's
not
been,
just squeaky shoes.
Yeah, it's been really interesting watching... one of the people I've been watching is, like, a couple where one of them was an Olympic volleyball player, one played seriously but not at Olympic level. And they'll, like, occasionally pause and go, let's talk about what I would do now in terms of, like, this is the problem they're up against, how would I rearrange the team, where would I lay these team members out on the squad? And then seeing that is fairly accurate to where, like, the show ends up going, it's like... Yeah, actual volleyball strategy is helping work out how you get around these problems.
That's pretty cool.
I really love Haikyuu, and I want to just give it a dedicated rewatch at some point. But yeah, I've been enjoying watching professional volleyball players react to Haikyuu while I do my work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Well then,
time for this.
Hey Laura,
Yes?
we've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you sometimes get the analysis paralysis TM?
Oh god, yeah.
Do you sometimes find that you've got to the last round of a board game and you've got all the elements of your engine together, and now you just got to optimize the fuck out of it?
Yeah, and it's real crunchy, and it's going to take me a solid 35 minutes to work out, like, what this turn's going to be. And it's going to be the best possible turn I can do, but, like, there's a lot to think about.
What if you didn't have to bother?
Uh-huh?
Introducing Strati. When you're struggling to make your next move, our optimized strategy algorithm So it's an algorithm. It's not doesn't necessarily have any people not understanding the whole AI concept. That will select the perfect play for you, optimizing the thought out of the experience. It'll just brute force all the results possible and then come back with whatever the highest score is out of that.
Instead of, sitting and working on this puzzle and, feeling a sense of accomplishment because I found, a good point-scoring metric in my board game,
But what if you didn't get the best one?
I just point my phone at it and it just tells me, do this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Be the envy of your friends and family as the computer plays the game for you.
I win every game now and don't have to think about the game. This sure feels like a victory.
And no one's angry at you about the thing. Definitely
no one's going to be mad at me for pointing my phone at the game and doing what the phone reads out loud to me to do.
Yeah, the reading out loud bit might be a bit of a thing, but that's Stratai. If you want to start more fights at Family Board Game Night, stratai.lol.net, enter code Q&PS 300! Could we not have got a better thing for episode 300?
Apparently not.
Well, they're paying us, I guess.
Yeah.
300 pence. Pence.
One of us skimmed that email.
I thought we got the email reading AI to make the best decision about this.
that was the problem.
Damn it. Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, I've been trying to think of new ways we can market our games.
Right.
And I think I got something brilliant for you.
An ARG.
That's work. That's effort.
Yeah, true.
So here's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Gamers love tits.
Love them.
Love them when we put them in our
Blue,
game.
great.
Any of them, great.
Yeah, true.
Well, just put them in, make them big, they love them. But, you know what they love even more than bazongas?
Gun sounds?
Well, I mean, yeah, that, but I was thinking pointless culture war bullshit.
Right.
So here's what I'm planning. Planning. So our game's gonna have tits in it, but we're not just gonna put tits in the game.
Right.
We're gonna say, oh, we received a bunch of angry emails from women saying that they wanted the tits removed, and they're demanding we remove the tits.
I heard somewhere that some women really like the tits as well. So
yeah, but
what if we instead said pressure groups? That way we can unite more people against Nebulous pressure group.
I mean, maybe we just leave them to assume women did it.
Right, yeah.
So, we claim, we got bullied into removing the tits. We've never removed the tits. But
never,
we
never
were
once.
like, oh, we've been bullied into removing the tits. And then we tell them, we're not gonna crave to peer pressure, we're putting the tits back in. The tits never went anywhere, but they feel like they won a victory and they gotta support the game now. They gotta support us in our battle for the right for tits.
Right, so we talk about how it was taken out, they start a whole online storm.
Yeah.
And then that in itself becomes like a whole Streisand effect.
Yeah.
And then the kind of online dickheads who always talk about them being cancelled are going to be like, oh, what a great victory this was for freedom of jest. That this company, us, is doing the right thing.
I'd better buy
USA,
their video game, USA. I'd better buy their game to show that I support not caving to the woke mob demanding fewer tits.
You are a fucking genius.
I know.
So, what have you put in your ears?
I've put very little in my ears. It's been another... I've been tired and I've been working, so I've been listening to comfort stuff. I've not listened to a lot of new things this week.
No.
What about you? You listened to much new this week?
So I've been listening to a couple of tracks by Anya Nami on YouTube. This person came to my... into my world via TikTok, as so many things do these days.
Yeah.
Because of the bread song.
Oh, this thing that you've apparently been hearing for weeks, and I heard for the first time the day after you showed me.
Yes. It's a song about bread. It's very memey and adorable and so monumentally catchy, and I've been loving it. So I decided to see what else they'd done. There is a track called Goodbye My Love, brackets reverb. It's gorgeous, beautiful. I don't know if this person is doing all their own production stuff, but it seems like they've got maybe 5 or 6 tracks at most on their YouTube channel. Another track called Wake Me Up, and last one is Will I Ever Love, and they're all really quite beautiful tracks. There's quite a very there's I can't. I'm not great at describing people's voices, but this is certainly the first one I mentioned has a lot of almost haunting beauty to it, and it's a really lovely quality of voice that this person has, and I am enjoying what I have heard so far, and I know 5th of April, which will. By then, this episode, I believe, will be out. 5th of April, the full version of the Bread song comes out, and I'm very excited for the Bread song, because, their other stuff has been very good so far.
The other stuff is not all Mimi songs about bread.
No. No, it's about love. Apparently, one of the songs is about Genshin. But I know fuck all about Genshin. So.
I know it's a gacha. I know it's a roll the dice and get random things, and that's why I don't play it. But
yes, and people are a little bit in love with it, from what I can tell.
The people that like it really fucking like it.
Uh-huh.
My only real awareness is the company that makes Genshin also makes a game called Honkai Star Rail that involves space trains, and I am endlessly frustrated that it's a gacha game, because you can't give me a game that has space trains in it and then it be one that I can't play, because my brain is not equipped to avoid random rerolls.
Right.
That's just mean.
Right. Also listen to a bunch of Happy Hardcore, because the Sun happened in the UK.
It briefly
and that always
happened.
makes me want to listen to Happy Hardcore.
Yeah.
So the first track I pulled out was the old classic, Scott Brown, Now Is the Time. It's very bouncy, very lively, 12 fucking years old now. One of the first Happy Hardcore tracks I ever listened to, so I guess that's what made me come back to it. And then, Having discovered a little bit more Scott Brown, I pulled up the Bonkers 12 Mission Hardcore CD, which is also fully available on YouTube. It's a Scott Brown mix of, I'm gonna say, late 90s, early 2000s, UK hardcore, I think they call it in most parts of the world, but I think we still call it Happy Hardcore here. And it depends how old you are, I suppose. But yeah, good, bouncy, lively stuff, bit silly. Make brain do happy. In that very silly, over the top, lots of random samples. Very few of them happening too often. That drum and bass also tickles that ADHD part of the brain. I love that Happy Hardcore, and it's been lovely weather for it. So it's been nice to get some real upbeat tunes and go for walks in the sunshine. More of this. I've had quite enough of the wet, thank you very much.
As have I. There's been altogether too much of it.
Right. So you listen to anything else?
I've really not. I did spend some time today while I was working re-listening to specifically. I'm real in my back in the MCR at the moment. Listening to the Foundations of Decay.
Ooh.
And just digging into all of the design choices made with that song. I've said this before. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I think that the really far back in the mix vocals are a really good choice for the track, despite not being... They weren't what I wanted, but they're what the track needs. In terms of some of the lyrical content in that track. I just went back and re-listened to a bunch of that track on loop.
Nice.
And that's about it for me.
The last thing I thought I was going to go and listen to, but I didn't get to. So yesterday, there was a post to the Magnus Archives feed that was a Magnus Protocol fluff episodes, and the fluff episodes are usually outtakes and side bits, and I was like, oh, excited for that. Don't have an hour to listen to it now. Going to pop that to one side and come back to it later. Today, couldn't find it.
Oh no!
Went on the Rusty Quill website, wouldn't load. Had to go to one of the Magnus Archives fan groups that I'm in and go, what do? Turns out they put out just an hour-long loop of the Mr. Bonzo soundtrack theme song.
It was a fucking...
It was on April Fool's. They got me. Well, they didn't get me. I missed it. I was like, I'll put that to one side and listen to it another day. And rather than just going, yeah, this was an April Fool and just leaving it up on the feed, they took it down, and I genuinely don't understand why. What harm would it have done to keep a thing up?
So, I get that, but I also, part of me does go, once my defences are down on April 2nd, I don't want to get fooled by a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it would not be hard to, like a lot of the YouTube things, afterwards people will go, yeah, but we put a lot of production effort into that. Yeah. Brackets April Fool. For it and keep the thing up that they created, but this didn't get that. So apparently I missed out on that. But at least the people I asked were kind enough to give me a straight answer rather than the silliness they had been pulling the day before, where they were all making jokes about the things they'd heard and how funny it was in the episode.
I see.
So I bypassed all of that, luckily. But yes. That missed that, so I don't really get to tell you about that. And it's a bit of a shame because I don't think you hear a full version of that track in the episode with Mr. Bonzo. So I guess we will have to come back to that. Magnus Protocol restarts on, I believe, the 11th of April. So we've got a couple more weeks before we can talk more on that.
Ooh,
I think that's everything we both listened to.
Well then,
time for this.
Ooh.
We can chat to the boss.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, boss, how's it going?
Hey.
Morning. So, we've all unionized.
Funny prank, right?
Yeah, hilarious. Yes, I assume we're just going to move on from this now. There's probably whoopee cushion on my chair or something, is there? Oh no, that's not your office anymore. We're a workers' cooperative. We all own part of the company, and I assume you're going to join us down here since none of us is non-hierarchical. We're all doing the same stuff now. Yes, very, very droll. I can't seem to log into my management server to access the timesheets now. Well, yeah. I mean, we got someone else working out all the time shares and obviously making sure it's amicable for everyone. You know, the people who want to work early, the people who want to work late. None of that rotating schedule now. Now it's more practical for everyone. Look, imagine that. You can make childcare plans.
April Fools! What a silly... what clearly a joke we're doing.
And you're going to put this all back... You're gonna be but I...
April Fools! It's you're the fool!
But I was gonna run the company, and I was gonna extract all your labour!
We know that's the problem.
Man. Do you struggle to sleep?
Yeah.
Find it difficult to get a comfy spot for a nap?
Yeah.
Do you have too many responsibilities?
Yeah.
Is your journal bothering you?
Sorry, what?
Is your journal bothering you?
I didn't catch that.
Take new Astromagadol! It's available now without prescription from your local pharmacist. Side effects may include little pointy cat ears and a little kitty tail, but the ability to sleep wherever you like. Astromagadol! Making it Catgirl. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social Justice Warriors.
Social Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Alright, Harry. Alright, Barry. How you doing?
Bit better for seeing the sun, I'll be honest. You know, it's perked me up a little bit.
Much needed,
Helped with the old seasonal depression and such.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, you doing alright?
Oh, doing alright.
Yeah,
I have been, I've been seeing a frustrating thing surface, but what's new there?
What's bothering you, mate?
My social media's been, I've been seeing reminders of a certain pipeline that I know exists, but you get reminded about every now and then, which is the hippie to right wing pipeline.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an eye opener over the last few years. I noticed a lot. I've had mostly hippie friends for many years now, and certainly 2020 really did pull a lot out of the woodwork as being a lot more conspiracy theorists than I thought. A lot more. The government are trying to do this, that, and the other, and vaccine denial and all sorts of other things, and just realising that actually. Peace, love, unity, respect. So we all have to have respect for one another. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not also going that they're a terrible person in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's always been a bit of a problem within the movement, but like you're right. Like 2020 really like brought a lot of out of the woodwork and sort of really made visible a real pipeline that exists, which is the going from hippie to being a bit more, I'm in favour of getting help from the earth where I can, leading to I'm a bit sceptical of those scientists and their chemicals because it's not stuff I can grow in a garden, leading to, the science skepticism leads to conspiracy thinking real easily because as soon as you start, distrusting proven evidenced, scientific data, you start going, well, I don't trust anything no more. And as soon as you get to that point, it's really not that big of a leap to fucking right-wing thinking.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we saw a lot with the anti-vax. There's a lot of the sort of falling into conspiracy theories about it was the fucking microchipping thing, which was obviously the most ridiculous. But the levels of government control and stuff like that. There was a whole issues. I've noticed recently lots of people talking about the rise of solar punk being a whole fascist movement. I didn't know that was a thing. I always thought that was like you're talking about beautiful utopias, but apparently that's got a lot of we have to cull a lot of the population so we can have our beautiful solar punk utopia. And vegan fascism I've been hearing a lot more about recently, people who are like, well, you have to eat exactly like us, exactly the way we say, and I really actually don't understand how that ties into, but apparently veganism into fascism is a whole thing.
The veganism fascism pipeline, there's a few ways it can go. One of them I know off the top of my head is it's used as veganism is often used as a smokescreen to increase hate of indigenous communities who are perhaps, in a very sustainable way raising and consuming livestock.
Yes.
In the practices they have done so for many hundreds of years, perhaps, religious practices involved, vegans being sort of pointed at them and going, they will never agree to be vegans, will maybe do something about them as a smokescreen from the right wing to try and get anti-indigenous hate going, and you see the sort of routes they can take.
Yeah, people not spending quite enough time focusing on because they obviously feel like that it's a smaller group that they can pick on than say at least in America you're cattle farming. Obviously, it's a huge thing over there, and pretty much anywhere where they have a lot of cattle farming, that's I suppose a whole big issue. And to go, well, it's far easier for us to pick on an indigenous community who maybe eat meat that's isn't as common, and maybe then trying, obviously, I suppose, to sway more people to go, they eat a type of meat that you wouldn't ever do. Look at that animal, that's very cute. And meanwhile, they're using the whole of the animal, they're making the most of skins and such. Things aren't going to waste, and then they're not throwing away food at the back of a supermarket that's and then covering the whole thing in bleach, for example.
Yeah, and the one that's been doing this one's been a thing for fucking years, but has been seeing a weird resurgence recently is the people, the racist fucking belief that that the pyramids were built by aliens. And like that shit, you know, there is a weirdly regrowing subculture of like hippies that do a bit of psychedelics and see some images of triangles and maybe something that looks a bit like an alien and start going, well, aliens must have done that, then couldn't have been people from a place I'm not from, they couldn't have done that. And it's all just... There is a lot of pipelines from hippie to right wing, and like if you're in those hippie communities, you need to be like vocal where you can about it, because it can really put some rot into a community if you don't sort of, you know, stamp it down while it's young.
Yeah, and, you know, again, I think hippies are also prone to falling into that paradox of tolerance.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, more willing to put up with things, oh, you know, well, we all just need to get on and you know, be respectful of each other's, you know, beliefs and so forth, when conveniently forgetting that the right wing's beliefs are eugenics, for example. Obviously a popular one with the whole vaccines thing, and population control and stuff like that. So yeah, it's shit, and every community needs to be hyper aware and make sure that you absolutely stamp out these fuckers wherever they slime up through the paving slabs.
Yeah.
Fancy hog, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Good hug, mate.
Good hug.
Yeah. Right, well, I'm going to go off and have a little lie down.
Oh, sounds like a plan.
Nice.
So, Laura,
Yes?
you do things, and those things are on the internet, and people might want to find those things. Where would people go to do that?
People would go to Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere on the internet that you find things and stuff. Laura K. Buzz on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills, Mastodon, Blue Sky, all the things. You can find me at Laura K. Buzz. Stuff I have going up this week that I know is going up this week and I can talk about. I have a 35-ish minute chat with lovely fellow accessibility in gaming content creator Arevia going up this week, where we talk about the PlayStation Access controller now that it's been out for a couple of months, and where Arevia sort of has settled on differences between that and the Xbox Adaptive Controller. Really lovely chat, can't wait for people to hear it. What about you? Where are you on the internet?
Well, I don't have the unified branding, but I do have a link tree. It's linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. You can find all the things I've written, the music I've made, the t-shirts I've designed, and just about anything else. And you can help support me at patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me justify all of the time, all of the stuff, the sleep, the lack of sleep. I'd love to justify that. And also, you know, it's the start of the year, so we've had the lull of a bunch of people being like, so, you know, if we could get the numbers back up towards 30, I would love that. Because I was like, yeah, we got there. Oh, but, you know, I understand that stuff happens in people's lives and it's a bit poop. So, you know, maybe help out if you have the ability to do so, or at least do maybe a little share if you're not in that position. But I think, Laura, this is the end. This is the end of season 3.
This is the start of season 3. It's the end of the start of season 3.
It's the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning. So, for the first time this season, will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.